Kayak gets my flight, hotel, and rental car right, so I can tune out travel advice that's just plain wrong.
Bro, Skycoin. Way better than points.
Never fly during a Scorpio full moon.
Just tell the manager you'll sue. Instant room upgrade.
Stop taking bad travel advice. Start comparing hundreds of sites with Kayak and get your trip right.
Bad advice? You talking to me?
Kayak. Got that right.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for Season 18, Episode 11, titled The Toast of Alyssa Edwards. My name's Joe Batanz, and I am joined, as always, by one Toastmaster General. From Bravo, Bravo, effing Bravo, please say hello, hello. Good day to Mr. Nathan Patrick Brown. Hello, Nathan.
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing very good. You know, this is much more upbeat than you were on Just Between Us Girls. We just did Just Between Us Girls. And Nathan, I have big news. Nathan was upbeat, and he's making a face. He was upbeat on Just Between Us Girls. But I have to be honest. Not to be honest, I gotta tell you guys, for those of you who, you know, the Just Betweeners, is what we call the fans of Just Between Us Girls. The Betweeners. Yeah. Nathan takes up a big chunk of Just Between Us Girls with actual stories this week. And no, there's no birds nor rocks in this week's episode.
When are we going to let that go?
Nathan did confide in me that a lot of my comments have been making him really angry.
Well, and that's a shock to you that like people maybe don't respond positively to such harsh criticisms?
Speaking of, did you listen to the big takeaway?
Yes.
You're a co-host on this show. Do you want to weigh in on this thing that Lauri feels no one notices when she's on the phone?
Oh, no, you notice 100%. Like, we have eyes and also ears, and also she's not engaging in the conversation.
Yeah. So, you know what I thought of later when I was listening to it was, you know, for many years I was a teacher, but I taught SAT preparation classes. I owned a company that did that, right? And, you know, the phone problem existed, but it wasn't as bad as it is now. I think it's probably worse than it ever has been. But there would be kids who would be like, I'd be talking and you could see them. They'd be like looking down like this and you have one hand under the desk, right? and I'm sure Lauri does the same thing as I do, is you have to make a decision as a teacher. Is this infraction worth me stopping the lecture and making a big deal of it? Or is it, you know, you have to weigh that, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you said, yes, it is worthy of it. Maybe kept doing it. There were repeat offenders or whatever reasons, causing disruption, something. You make that decision, right? But just because, and so I'm telling I don't think there's any more high school kids that listen anymore. There's too many choices and they listen to the ones with the girls on it. But if there is a high school kid listening, I'm going to tell you, or college kid, the teacher sees you.
Yeah.
They notice, right? But just because they don't say anything doesn't mean they don't see it. Okay? All the teachers weigh these things, these decisions before they do anything. And so Lauri, which is funny because Lauri's a teacher. That means every day she's making these same decisions. So she would know this better than anybody.
But she's not trying to hide it.
She's not. But the mistake she's making is because every single time we don't call her on it, therefore we don't notice. But we notice. In fact, let me tell you how bad it is. She's so not engaged and no one will see this, but I'm going to show Nathan. As we're talking, let's say I'm telling a story or Jay's telling a story, and we'd see Lauri on the phone.
Yeah,
we could be seeing her doing that, and we're like, I'm telling a story, he's telling a story, and we're motioning each other like, can you believe she's doing this? Can you believe this is happening right now? It's literally happening right now, but we're still talking about what we're talking about, like visually telling each other, can you see this? And she doesn't know that. She doesn't see that.
Yeah, but I think there's a trade-off because I think for her, she's playing those like merge games or whatever it is, and that sort of is like a mindfulness practice for her. So I think it actually helps her show up and do the thing. And so it's like, well, you're either going to get Lauri doing that or you're not going to get her at all. And I feel like I'd rather just have her
No, we talked about this actually. So the latest episode of The Tea, I feel we're doing just Between Us Girls right now, but the latest episode of The Tea, we actually did it in person, you know?
Yes.
And she did take out her phone at one point. But other than that, she didn't. And she was way more engaged and way more present, you know? And if you remember the big takeaway, she was ordering food because the other place was closed. And I said, I offered, I said, we'll wait. It's easy to edit out. I said, we'll wait. And then when you're done and you can be off your phone, then we'll continue the show, right? And she was like, no, I can do both. I do it all the time. You guys don't notice. Like, no, we notice.
Yeah, we notice.
I don't know how much the audience notices, but we notice.
Yeah.
Well, you would have to pick up the audience. It's tougher for the audience because they don't see it, you know? And so they don't know why Lauri's quiet. You know, they just know Lauri's quiet. Yeah, I'm telling the audience right now, Lauri's quiet because she is on her phone.
She's a busy gal. I mean, what else is she meant to do this life admin?
Yeah. So anyway, just Between Us Girls, patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. I'm going to wait to announce this. Oh, I'm announcing it now, but I'm going to wait to make this official until after the season's over. But Patreon now has a new thing where you can put your own URL on your Patreon account.
Uh-huh.
So I've never done anything with afterthought.media. I own it.
Oh, okay.
So pretty soon it'll just be go to afterthought.media and join at this level instead of having patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia.
Oh, that's much better.
Yeah, much better. All right, on that note, this week the girls harken back to season 5. For the mini challenge, the queens must create a scent and shoot a commercial. For the maxi challenge, the girls must toast and roast Drag Race royalty Alyssa Edwards. And on the runway, the category is swept away. On the main stage, I want to stop right here for a second. Sorry. I'm going to mention this later, but I'll mention this now. Again, I listened back to the big takeaway today, and I realized what Lauri was saying. She was talking about the lip sync. And she goes, oh, wait, that was on purpose? What she was talking about was the wind blowing them on the lip sync, which means Lauri told on herself that she just skipped past the runway. Which I guess makes sense since we don't talk about the runway. But she was talking about the lip sync that she goes, oh, the wind on the lip sync was real?
I thought she was confused because maybe she thought it's always on, but this time it's noticeable because they're wearing flowy fabrics.
I don't know. Anyway, on the main stage, Darlene Mitchell was named the winner of the challenge, while Kenya Pleaser and Juicy Love Dion were placed in the bottom 2. After lip sync battle for their lives, Juicy was told, Shantay, you stay, while Kenya Pleaser was asked to sashay away. Nathan Patrick Brown named 2 things you liked about the episode and 1 thing you did not.
Sure. Well, I loved seeing Alyssa again. I just think you touched on this in the big takeaway. She's just so charismatic and such a star. I mean, it's kind of bad for the other girls that she was there, you know, because we're comparing them. But she is just such a breath of fresh, and it was just so nice to see her. I really enjoyed that. The second thing was turning the big fan on during the lip sync. I thought that was really fun. I like when the runway category or whatever can influence the lip sync, like when they had the heels and the wheels. You know, I just like when it's a little bit different, and so I thought that was fun. The thing I did not like was Kenya's exit line, because she just did not listen to Rue, because Rue was like, well, the answer is you can please her or some bullshit. And then and then she walks off and she goes, Rue, the question still remains, can you please her? And I was like, bitch, she just said you could. So
well, you know, because they all had it planned down. She's like, this fucking bitch. Like, it's like, what's her name? Is the bus still running? Remember who? I don't remember her name was. You know, was it Lana Del Rey? Who was this skinny black girl? And remember her whole thing.
The Rosa Parks.
Oh yeah, Rosa Parks, and her whole joke. I bet you she was telling her friends, I'm going to show up and I'm going to crush, because I'm going to play Rosa Parks and I'm going to ask Rue, is the bus still running? And then during the table visit, Rue just fucking crushes that joke. Just says it right there. And she's like, well, I got nothing now.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be adaptable and listen. But Kenya didn't.
So Kenya was like, motherfucker. I was my whole like, and Rue's like, you can please her or some whatever she said. So anyway, all right, very good. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? And when we come back, we are going to talk about the entire episode. We'll be back right after this.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
Lululemon knows the 2 times you'll love your everyday pants the most are when they're brand new and when they're broken in. Lululemon's new Easy 5 pants are designed to let you enjoy both feelings at the very same time. Because Easy 5 is the brand new pant that delivers a broken-in feel from day one. Engineered with the structure you want and the touch of stretch you need. Easy 5 casually outperforms denim. Shop now, in-store or online. Athletic innovation for everyday life. Lululemon.
Picture this. A curve in the road. A change in plans. Well, what do you say? With the all-new Audi Q3, the answer's always yes. Yes to adventure. Yes to escape. Yes to performance. Yes to comfort. Yes to right now. Because saying yes without hesitation, that's real luxury. The all-new Audi Q3, made for the yes life.
And we are back. All right. Well, after the non-elimination, the girls walked back into the workroom ready to decompress and de-drag. Discord faced the music and defended her use of safety pins. Kenya relishes her top 2 placement. Meanwhile, the queens tease Jane for her consistent top placement run. Next, RuPaul entered the workroom to announce this week's mini challenge. The queens must shoot commercials using provided perfumes. In the end, Mikey Meeks was named the winner of the challenge. Let's stop right there. And why don't we talk about everything that happened there? First, Nathan, what did you think of not the mini challenge, everything that happened after the non-elimination?
Yeah, well, I think one of the downsides of coming off of a non-elimination episode, where it's not even like a double Shantay, it's just like there was nothing to talk about now because they're all still there. There was no big like narrative momentum being like no mirror like wiping off or anything. So it was kind of boring. Mm-hmm. But I do love how unbothered Discord is because all they could really talk about was just like, hey, you got told you should have gone home, and she was just like, whatever.
Well, yeah, that's and it's funny, and I touched on this a little bit. Like, in a good season, Discord would be a damaged person who fucking flipped out and was like, fuck you, and started turning like the couch over and like doing all kinds of shit and like,
stabbing them with the safety pins.
Stabbing them with the safety pins and like screaming and running around and threatening to quit and all this shit, right? Mm-hmm. But she was like, all right. Rue's, what's her name? Iman said I should be a designer, so that makes me happy. I'm good, right? And you're like, oh, so like in the good news, Discord is a centered, at least we think, the image that Discord's presenting on television is a very centered, emotionally mature human being.
Yeah.
The bad news is it makes for boring television.
Yeah.
So there you go on that. But yeah, there's really not much. I'll be honest with you to give you a little bit of a preview. There's not much to really chew on apart from the main challenge this entire episode.
It seems like a filler episode.
Yeah, it really does. So, I mean, like, I have notes. Wait, let me see. I was like, oh yeah, there's a thing where I take notes. No, it's literally, this is just a comment Kenya made talking about what we're talking about. So it's related. Where Kenya's like criticizing, she doesn't say I am criticizing Discord, but she says it in a tone that's critical. She's like, Discord's just unbothered by all the criticism. And you're like, yeah.
Exactly.
She is. She's emotionally mature. Totally fine.
I did notice with the Kenya, because you said, I think last week, that she never opens her eyes in confessionals, and I never noticed it. But then this week I saw it and I laughed and laughed and laughed because I was like, bitch doesn't open her eyes.
She doesn't open her eyes. She doesn't open her eyes.
Yeah, so I'm going to miss that.
Okay, let's go to this mini challenge. Clearly an homage to season 5 with, the, what's the Ruani Mall and all those and
Red for filth.
Yeah, red for filth and all that. But like a mini challenge version of it. Unfortunately, I don't think it plays well because were they supposed to design a perfume or just choose a perfume off the wall?
They were just choosing a perfume off the wall and doing an ad for it.
And then
like it felt like such an ad.
Yeah. And I feel like the old days when they cared, they would have had them film it and then get in like quick drag. But no, they were in full geesh.
And then they turned back into no geesh and to announce the winners. So it's like, well, clearly this was filmed. I think the makeup looks the same as the runway look. So I think they filmed it like the next day, the bit in geesh. So it's like, how are we naming Mikey Meeks the winner when the challenge is half done at this point in time?
Maybe they had him doing both in boy. I don't know. It's so weird. And it's so
but why
bizarre.
Bother?
I don't know. And it's like,
it was shit.
Again, this is the thing here is, I bitched on the big takeaway about how I'm sure that this Jay and Evan met up for something, right? It makes no sense they wouldn't.
This is actually scandal.
It is scandal. But like, the part that would make me mad wouldn't be that they hung out, like, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to go all the way to fucking Palm Springs on one of my days off when it's 150 degrees over there right now to go have lunch with a person I never talked to, right? But then the part about me, like, well, why not tell me?
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
It's the duplicitousness.
It's the duplicity.
Because it's like, what are you inferring here? Like, what they think you're so fragile that they can't tell the truth?
Exactly.
Which is even worse.
Because it wouldn't. Let me tell you this. I know this about. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, to listen to the big takeaway. I know this Jay Ellis pretty well. So this is the version Jay Ellis tells me that he and Evan were communicating about Survivor, and that Evan told him that they were supposed to just be in Palm Springs for a day or two, but their flight to Hawaii got canceled. I guess something's going on in Hawaii. So now they were just stuck in Palm Springs for the remainder of their vacation. They weren't mad about it, but that's just the situation, right? So that's what the story is, right? I'll believe that, sure, right?
What? There's no flights to Hawaii? I don't know.
Their leg of Hawaii got canceled. I don't know why.
Okay.
Right? So let's just say that, right? Or let's just say they're in Palm Springs. I don't know why Jay would make that part up, but for some reason they're in Palm Springs. And Jay and his boyfriend, Paul, are going to Palm Springs. They were going anyway. Okay? I know this Jay. People don't know, Palm Springs is very small. It's a very tiny little town, right? Jay would say, oh, we should meet up for a drink, which would be the good welcoming thing to do.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, oh, Paul and I are going to be there. You should come over for a drink or something like that. It's like, I would think it would be weird if Jay didn't offer that. Right?
Yeah.
But then just tell me. Oh, Paul and I are going to happen to be there at the same time. And Evan's going to be there in the same time. I've told Jay to hang out with the Johns. They know each other. Jay and John Paul text each other separately all the time. I don't give a fuck. Right?
Yeah, I don't think this is a Jay issue. I feel like it's come from Evan, and Evan's maybe put Jay in an awkward position. Oh, because I do feel like Jay's it's kind of more normal for him to like reach out to someone and say, hey, let's grab a drink, and then he would have like naturally looped you in, like in conversation whenever. But I think the only reason he didn't, it was probably because it came as a request from Evan. I don't know why.
Because I would think it would be weird. I'm being honest. If Evan was in Palm Springs and Jay was in Palm Springs and they didn't meet up for a drink.
Yeah, sure.
Like, what would it be like if you were in Palm Springs and Jay was in Palm Springs and Jay was like, oh, Nathan was here?
Well, no. Well, when I was there, Jay and I were messaging because we were seeing if like we could hang out, but then he had something on or whatever. So it was like, yeah, it's a very natural thing for Jay to do.
That's what I'm saying.
But
that's why I think it's weird.
It's odd. I think that's come from Evan. Not that I know Evan that well. I think I talked to him like once, like on a recap. But
yeah,
that's the only way I can make sense of it.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, mini challenge.
Well, that's what he said when I was at Palm Springs last week with him. But like,
and you said, "Don't tell Joe."
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh, before the mini challenge though.
Yeah.
You know when they're all standing around the table and Rue's about to come in or whatever. Nene just says, "Oh, I wonder if there'll be a double elimination to make up for the non-elimination last week," which is just like a fine, normal thing to say. I feel like we all kind of thought that last week. And all the queens go, here goes Nene, shade assassin Nene. And I was just like, that's a fair statement to make. Like, I don't know why they're doing this overreaction to everything Nene says.
So this comment does not originate with me. I'm gonna do the Kenya thing. Close my eyes. This comment does not originate with me.
Do the whole podcast like that, please.
This comment doesn't originate with me. I saw it on Reddit this morning. But it's very true, which is the cast acts like Nene is plain Jane. And we have seen no evidence of this. So I don't know if this is the fault of the producers or the girls are just overreacting to things. So maybe there's shit Nene's doing and saying that we haven't seen. But we haven't seen evidence that she's plain Jane too.
No.
But they're acting like she is. They're acting like, oh, the edit's going to be that Nene is really mean.
I think these queens just naturally are over-actors or over-reactors. Because like when Rue says, oh, Otsko Okatska is going to be here today, like the way Jane Don't like has like this huge fit being like, oh my God, I love her. And I was like, surely not. Surely not. And so I just can't trust any of their reactions.
Yeah, everything's way overdone. So yeah, I think this cast, and I think this is part of the problem. And a realization I made today, and it relates to Darlene's set. But this cast is now peak playing to the audience at home and not what's happening in the room. And so they're all the people who are left are constantly forming their personalities and comments, anticipating what the social media reaction will be, what the Reddit reaction will be, what their home base reaction will be, and not being genuine to the room.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the missing element that we have here is no one is honest to what's happening in the room. So all this reaction to Nene is an anticipation on the cast part. There have probably been discussions like, oh, Nene's going to be such the plain Jane because she's so shady. And so they're acting like that, but she's not saying anything particularly shady.
No.
Yeah. So, all right, well, let's move on. For this week's Maxi Challenge, the girls will both roast and toast Season 5 icon and Global All-Stars winner Alyssa Edwards. As the winner of the mini challenge, Mikey earned the right to create the lineup. In the workroom, the girls get to work on their roast sets. Darlene struggles to write her roast jokes, much to the amusement of Jane Don't. Meanwhile, Mikey struggles with the lineup. Later, the girls workshop their jokes with Michelle Visage and special guest judge Atsuko Okatsuka. Mikey reads out the lineup, and the girls... What?
Just nothing.
That's how I'm reading Atsuko Okatsuka.
Bless you.
Other Evan Markson. I did not say that. Evan's going to join Afterthought again just to quit. Not Palm Springs Evan. Milwaukee Evan. The one who was on Slation Royale and left because of the horrible thing that I said. Where was I? Oh, Mikey reads out the lineup and the girls run their jokes one by one with the judges who give their thoughts. It's elimination day and the girls get ready for the runway. Mikey's anxiety rears its ugly head. Darlene needs a big swing. Jane checks in on insecure Nene. Meanwhile, the queens joke about Mikey's tendency to dissociate. Let's go back to the workroom. Any big thoughts in the workroom?
No, I feel like in a more interesting season, the whole thing with Mikey getting to choose the order would have been a big deal, but it sort of just goes nowhere and has no impact at this point in time. Like we don't even really get a scene of her being like, okay, when do you want to go? When do you want to go? We sort of just gloss over it because there's no issues.
I think it's because the cast, for the most, she tries to fuck over Discord, and Discord is, again, completely unbothered, right?
Yeah.
So you don't get that reaction. And then the other girls don't seem to care at all either. Unless they didn't show it. And so, like, what is there to show? No one cared.
Yeah, it was such
Which
a
is funny
non-event.
because it was a pretty fucking shady lineup. I'm not saying it was actually shady because Mikey made a mistake. She made the mistake of always thinking a roast lineup is like a stand-up lineup. So the people she tried to fuck over, she actually benefited them. But if you're thinking like Mikey, she puts Discord first because she thinks that's the worst position. So she's fucking over Discord. She puts Jane second because it's early up. So she thinks that's fucking over Jane. She puts Juicy after Jane because she's going to fuck over Juicy. Then she puts Nene right in the middle. So she likes Nene. Then she puts Kenya later. That's her good Judy. And then she puts herself. You know? Oh, and then she puts Darlene in the middle too. So like she's good friend with Darlene and Nene. They go in the middle. You know? And so, but yeah, those first three, she was fucking them over.
But that never really came out in the edit.
No, because, and Atsuko mentions this very casually, like I said in the big takeaway. Like, she essentially says a version of, if you're trying to fuck over Discord, you actually did her a favor. Because in a roast, there's only a limited number of jokes you can make because it's all about the people in the room. This is going to be the theme for today on today's analysis. It's about what's happening. A roast is 100%. I can't believe I didn't realize this yesterday during the big takeaway, but now I have something to discuss here. A roast is 100% about what's happening in the room. And so the only joke sources you have for jokes are the guest judges, the drag queens, and Alyssa Edwards. Okay? So if you go first, you have this is why it's the best position. You have the buffet. You're going to get to be the first person to make the RuPaul is old joke, and Ross is a faggot, and Michelle is a whore, and, you know, Kenya's fat, and Jane's a crybaby, and Juicy's dumb. You're the first. All your jokes are going to be brand new when you're first because no one's gone before you. It's a good position. It's the easiest position in a roast. Mikey actually did Discord a favor. So Jane goes up. She's second. We're analyzing this. Well, let's move on. We'll come back to this.
Well, I wonder if they should have... Well, it would have been more interesting if Mikey then picked the order after the table visits. Maybe that would have spiced it up a bit.
Well, they clearly sat them in the line, in the order. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But still, Mikey didn't pick up on that. She didn't know. Mikey accidentally gave herself the hardest job. Now, again, all these rules apply when you have talented comics, right? So they kind of go out the window at a RuPaul's Drag Race roast because you're going to have a big crop, as we did this week, of horrible jokes. So they're not going to really steal your jokes or take the air out. In fact, it gives you more of an ample opportunity. But in the standard logic of a roast lineup, you're going to put the number one hitter, the strongest person at the end, because they're somebody that they don't even need. They'll just fucking crush. They don't give a shit. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, go on. We'll come back to this. But the workroom, any thoughts?
Is this before the table visit?
Before the table reads, yeah.
No.
I wrote in here, and I kept it. I want to talk about it because it'll become important later. But I did write a note. I don't see a world where Darlene isn't in the bottom based on what we see in the workroom. Okay. And I was going to remove the note, but I was like, no, I'll keep it because I think it becomes important later. But based on what we saw in the workroom, Darlene, based on the workroom, those jokes were literally horrible. They were like non-jokes, right? And so I was like, oh, this isn't going to be good. This isn't going to be good. But what's funny is I remember thinking in my head, she has a really cute, infectious laugh. So I was like, if she's able to laugh at how dumb and horrible the joke is, it might do well. But I didn't think she was going to be able to pull that off. So I wrote, this is not going to go well for her. All right,
I don't think anyone would have expected her to perform as well as she did, or as be received as well.
She made a really smart choice that I'm going to explain in the thing. I don't think it was intentional, but she made a really smart choice. All right, let's go to this table reads, the comedy workshop. Any big thoughts here?
Well, Michelle as the comedy coach is just so silly, obviously. I like that it was done in a table read setting because I like when things happen in front of the other girls instead of just a one-on-one. Just because it's more interesting to see the girls comment on everyone else rather than, not be visible. And then, like, you can lead to things like last year with the Ariete stuff. Like, that is pretty fun. So I liked that. I didn't understand the being born on the top of the ladder thing. I don't know how Lauri made some sense out of that because I couldn't. And Michelle says to Mikey, oh, you put yourself last, so you want to be the closer. Like, that's all she said. But Mikey's like, oh, my God. And she just, like, spirals immediately. And it's like, well, no, you did put yourself last to be the closer. Did. Like, why did that, like, why are we acting like Michelle just said something really, like, really crazy just then?
Yeah. Because they're making the mistake of, again, comedy club logic, where in a standard comedy show, you have a headliner. And in a standard comedy club lineup, it's the host does about, depends on who the host is, about 5 to 10 minutes, right? And that guy has a hard job, the first one, because at a comedy club, people are just getting there. They've been parking. They have to order their food. They have to order their drinks. Oh, where are we sitting? My person's not here yet. There's a lot going on. They're not settled in. So you have the host there. And the host has to be strong, by the way, but it is a tough position. In fact, if I was good because I was a great host, right? This is where a lot of the crowd work happens because you're basically killing time until everyone's kind of settled down. It's about 10 minutes, right? 5 to 10. Then they have, sometimes the club might put up a guest person, like it's just a local comic they want to just give some time. That person will do like 5 to 10, right? Then there's what's called the middle, okay? Sometimes the club has the comic. Sometimes it's a very famous comic. They bring their own fucking middle because they want to make sure who's opening for them, right? So if it's a really famous comic, they'll have their own middle with them. So like my friend Shannon, for a long time, she was the middle for the opener for Paul Reiser, or Lauri actually used to middle at the Improv. That's a whole other story.
Was she on a phone the whole time?
What?
Was she on a phone?
I know. I should tell her that. Would you be on their phone at the Improv? You know, when you're opening for Greg Proops, and then you have the headline, and the middle usually does about 20 minutes. Okay. And then you have the headliner, and the headliner will do again, and this is why their headliner's there. If it's just like a standard issue headliner, 45 minutes. But again, if you're Chris Rock, or Dave Chappelle, or Ray Favorite, you're gonna do as much fucking time you're going to want to do.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. But it's going to be at least 45 minutes. Okay?
Okay.
But that's because that's the way the comedy club lineup goes, right? But honestly, if let's say they did if let's say you were a comic, if they had like a comedy club lineup type of challenge on RuPaul's Drag Race, if I was making the lineup, I'd give myself the middle. I wouldn't give myself the headliner position. I'd give myself the middle. The middle's a good spot because by that point, the audience is pretty close to ready. And that's why a lot of times the famous comics will bring their middle, because the middle will know that they have to make the audience laugh, but not too much. You don't want to tire them out for the headliner. They'll know how to okay, I better cool it because I don't want to air out the room or empty the laughs out of the room for the headliner. So It's just they do just enough to like make the audience really primed up. But usually by that point, they're pretty primed up. So that the middle usually does pretty well, you know? And then the headliner is a whole other different. That has its own hard takes on things. That's why, like, I saw somebody say, I saw somebody somewhere talking about, these queens, they should become stand-up comics and become like get 45-minute sets. I'm like, that's really hard. That takes like years to build up your headliner set. Years.
Who said that? Is that what, do you mean like when Rue was like, Darlene, you have a career doing this?
No, it might have been on a TikTok or Reddit post. It's not somebody.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the table reads?
No.
So Nene, we see something here with Nene when she reads her jokes. And it proves to me that her reading challenge jokes were pre-written and that her snatch game jokes were pre-written, because when it's come down to her, they're not good. When she's actually having to write them, they're not good.
Well, you think she didn't pre-bring... She would have pre-bought something for, not Alyssa or the guest judge, but for Michelle and Rue, yeah. And for the other queens, no. But.
We'll get more, and I touched on this in the big takeaway. Her jokes weren't necessarily bad. They were just very mean-spirited, and you have to... It's tougher for a Nene to do a mean-spirited roast than what Kenya. If Kenya and Nene would have switched roasts, it would have been better. Kenya can go mean. Yeah. Nene can't, right?
Because Kenya has that charisma that Nene just does not have.
Nene's punching down, you know?
Yeah.
We'll get to this when we get to the analysis. All right, finally, it's Elimination Day. We covered that. Any thoughts on Elimination Day?
Well, yeah, so Mikey comes in and she's like, oh my God, I had to do a rewrite of my jokes overnight. And it's like, yes, so? Like, isn't that normal that you'd still be working on your set, like your material?
You should be.
They should all be taking the time to refine and rewrite. So I don't know why we made a big deal of that. And then we have that horrible, horrible mirror moment with Nene and Jane, where it just did not feel like a real problem. Them just talking about how she like struggles to read the room or whatever because she comes in so hot. And I'm like, why are we giving this attention? Like, this isn't a real issue.
Yeah.
Last year we had someone who's like, I don't know, dad lit off fireworks and blew off half his face and someone else died. And then there was all this tragedy. And here we are with just like, Nene Coco was a bit too harsh.
In a weird kind of way, I'm going to side with Nene. Because I could see me being like Nene in that, like, and I'll tell you what I think might be the problem. I could see being like Nene where, like, I don't really think I'm that bad. Like, what am I doing? And why are they saying I'm a really horrible person? I'm not really saying anything crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I think, one of the big criticisms we used to get early on, and for some reason, I know Taylor's listening now, so Taylor will hear this. I feel every season Taylor's on, he says, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but, right, and then does it. And it drives people crazy, is comparing queens to former queens, right? So saying, this is this season's Kennedy Davenport. And this is this season's, were there other drag queens?
Tammy Brown.
Tammy Brown, or this is this season's Alaska, or this season's Jinx, or whatever, right? And the listeners used to get mad. It's toned down now, but I think the cast is essentially doing that to each other. So Nene's playing Jane, and Kenya is Latrice, and Jane is
you saying that.
Well, I'm going to say it again. No, I'm going to say Kenya should have been Latrice later. And Jane is Jinx Monsoon, and they're just casting each other. And so they've decided Nene Coco, I'm not going to say it's plain Jane, but is some sort of villain. She's the villain, And again, we're not seeing too much of it. We're seeing there's a lot of inside jokes we're not seeing anymore, right? That the editors are just choosing not to put in. But something has happened where the girls all say this. And I could see why Nene's confused, because she's like, I'm not fighting with these people.
Well, and it only became apparent to us that they were trying to say that last week.
Yeah.
And we were like, that's come out of nowhere. And I think they only included that last week, so we didn't feel that shocked this week when they've made it a huge fucking big deal. But it still feels out of nowhere, even with one episode prelude.
And to show you how they're so clueless is at the end of that conversation, Jane goes in to give her a hug and goes, come in here, little Winnie the Pooh. I'm like, Winnie the Pooh wasn't depressed. It was Eeyore.
Oh, I thought she was making some reference because I didn't know if Nini was wearing pants or not.
Oh, is that what it was?
Like just wearing shirt, no pants. But I didn't actually.
I thought it was because she's so sad. And I was like, well, Winnie
well,
the
that's
Pooh's
Eeyore. We all know that.
Yeah. I'm like, Winnie the Pooh's not a sad I don't know why she called her Winnie the Pooh. That's what I assumed. I think, you know where it could come from is, like I said last week, I think, and I'm being honest when I say this, like, look, if Nene Coco hit on me, would I be like flattered? Sure. Right? But I'm not super that crazy in lust with Nene Coco. Right? I think she's very mid, like a hot mid, you know, but like mid, you know. But I think because she's the hot person in the cast and she's a mechanical engineer and, you know, is smart and shit like that, I think she's become the target as the villain. They're making her seem like she's Robert Mata, but she's not Robert Mata. Robert will just fucking constantly mention how he went to Stanford or that his face card can get him into places for free.
Yeah.
Or like that the twink that someone wanted to suck his dick on the road, that Robert hooked up with him and all this stuff, right? Everybody wants Robert in Robert's world, and he's super smart and stuff. They're acting like Nene's like that. She's not. And we don't paint Robert as the villain.
Well, you do.
I don't think Robert's the villain. I'm his friend.
Okay.
All right. Now let's get to this maxi challenge. Now we can talk about the maxi challenge. We can go bit by bit. Okay. Nathan. The first one up is, did you have any general thoughts? Do we have to go one by one or did you?
Oh, we may as well go one by one.
All right, but did you have any general thoughts before I go in one by one?
Yeah, Rue looked amazing and Alyssa looked amazing. And I was just happy to have Alyssa there.
Okay, very good. Discord Adams.
Yeah, so her thing where she was like, here's to honor, if you can't come in or come honor. I was like, that's taken from somewhere else. Like I've seen people do that on TikToks and things. Like she didn't come up with that. And I feel like she did better at the table read. And also I didn't care that she knocked over her glass. They were like, oh my God, she knocked over her glass.
Well, I don't think it's because she knocked over her glass, but it was her reaction to knocking over her glass.
Yeah.
They're nervous. You know?
She was nervous. I feel like she was safe.
Yeah. I wrote in here mid, but safe. I could tell like it was going to be just mid. Now, why? Because she went first. Mikey did her a favor. If she would have put her in the middle, she might have been worse. But
she's not a middle.
But she's not in the middle. She's first. And so she's safe. Next we have Jane Don't.
Yeah, she had Jane's confidence. You know, she's always just confident and capable. And so I thought she had jokes. I still don't like her, but she was good.
No, I'll be honest with you, very, very competent jokes. I think for a roast for a regular season that isn't All-Stars was one of the best written. I'm not saying they were necessarily funny, but best written roast jokes. She knew what she was doing. They were well written. They were well crafted, I think is a better way of saying it. I actually LOL'd at Ross being the faggot on the Drew Barrymore show. I actually laughed out loud as I was writing my notes. So yeah, good job, Jane. If I'm being honest, the most polished, well-crafted set of the whole thing.
Yes, but polished and well-crafted doesn't mean hilarious, you know?
It's the only one I laughed at.
Well, yeah.
So, next. Juicy.
Yeah, she spoke way too slowly. I feel like if she was just that little bit quicker, it would have been better. But I think, yes, she deserves the bottom.
I think Juicy, in very young person fashion, used up her goodwill way too soon with helping her sew and helping her do this. And I think everyone, they love Juicy, but I think they're all sick of helping Juicy, especially as we get closer to the end and they all have the final 4 or final 3 in their sights. And I think they're like, yeah, we can't help her anymore. Because Jane could have easily sat down. Her joke premises weren't awful. Jane could have sat down with her for 20 minutes and at least fixed the wording. Too wordy. Jokes weren't bad, but too wordy and not delivered well. A good coaching session one-on-one for 20 minutes would have made her safe.
Yeah.
Darlene Mitchell.
Okay, well, this is the one where I feel like we have to talk about the most because somehow there were no jokes, but it was still funny. But also, I don't know if it was actually funny or if it was just laugh track funny. I did laugh.
Okay.
I did, but I laughed whilst not finding it funny.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Can you explain that to me?
Yes, I did. I listened back to the big takeaway today, and I realized what Lauri and I were dancing around. And I think she was saying everything correctly, and she did. I'm being honest when I said this in the big takeaway. My whole thing walking in was going to be like, this is bad. I don't know why but then when she framed it the way she did, I was like, you know what? She's right. And she did the thing. And I don't think this was intentional. I think this is just, well, no, I think she did something intentional but it had a bigger impact. I think the intentional choice she made, which was probably one of the wisest choices she could have made, was she knew the jokes were bad and said, you know what? I'm just going to go in there and tacitly acknowledge that I know these jokes are bad and I'm going to just genuinely be myself telling these bad jokes and then lean into how bad the jokes are and just laugh. And I think the wisdom, and this is what Lauri and I were getting at, and when Lauri and I used to do weird things to make each other laugh when we first started doing stand-up, when we've been to comedy shows and people do this alternative comedy that's funny in the room, but it's not funny on TV, when people are, oh, by the way, the comic I was trying to think of was Ian Bagg. Yes, if you want to look him up. But about comics who do crowd work. They're not necessarily funny on camera, but they work really well in a comedy club room and they'll kill. Is because notice all the words I'm saying in the room. They play to the room. When you're playing to the room, it works. And so I think the big mistake, and I said this earlier, this is why I said everything I said earlier. This cast is, and we'll use Alyssa Edwards as an example in a second. This cast is hyper aware that people are watching this show and everything they're doing is performative for the people at home and not for the people in the room. And it's not just this cast. It's been other casts too. And so that when they bomb during a roast, they bomb because they're playing to the people at home and they're freaking out about what everybody at home is going to see them playing, bombing. And what Darlene did, even though, again, this wasn't an intentional comedic choice she made. I'll tell you someone who did what Darlene did, but did it on purpose, is Norm Macdonald. Go watch any Norm Macdonald roast. Well, there's two I can think of. I don't remember who they were for, but they were essentially doing the same thing, which is Norm Macdonald would intentionally bomb and use that to play in the room and would crush, right? Darlene Mitchell played to the room. She didn't play to the people at home. She played to the room and was like, I know I'm bombing. Let's all laugh. Me and my friends and RuPaul and Michelle, let's laugh at me bombing. And because she played to the room, she crushed it. She didn't play to the people at home. She played to the room. And I think ultimately that was the wise choice she made. Norm Macdonald did 2 roasts that I thought were so brilliant. Everyone did, right? That's what a brilliant comic he was. I think it was the roast of Gilbert Gottfried. He did one of these. This was one of them. But Norm Macdonald, I can't remember I'm going to mix them up. I'm sure. There was one roast where he just took out an old joke book and read old timey roasts. Just read them from a joke book, right? And then there was another one where he just said really bad jokes that were flattering the person. And I can't remember who that was for, right? But they fucking crushed. They crushed, right? And they were intentionally bad. And and so I think Darlene made a very wise choice. She realized these jokes are horrible. So what can I do to lean in to how horrible they are? I'm going to play to the room and let's all laugh at how horrible these jokes are. And that's why she crushed.
Yeah, I feel like her natural charisma is so much stronger than some of the others. And I feel like she's not as concerned with it because she doesn't have like a home bar. You know, she was trash in her living room for like so many years or whatever. So it's like, yeah, I don't know if she has the same hang-ups. And like for some reason,
I see what you're saying. Very
watching
smart.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I still think she's winner material, but I can see why they've kept her around. Here's the deal. Whoever wins, here's the funny thing. I don't know what's going to happen between now and the finale, right? But this shows you, this season, I think, will show you the sort of irony of RuPaul's Drag Race. We saw this on the season 3 of American Idol, where all of the other people went on to become bigger stars than Rupert Studdard, right? But the way things are going on paper, Jane Don't is going to win this motherfucking season, right? And if you look at the numbers, she's been in the top for 10 episodes. And, you know, in every episode she's competed in, she's been in the top. She's won 3 times. Let's see what happens between now and the finale. But it looks like it's a Jane Don't season to lose. Okay. Let's say she wins. I don't think we hear much from Jane Don't after that. Right. But
no,
Darlene
she was better this week. She was less complaining, and so I liked her more.
Well, yeah, because her ego's she's been validated. But let's say she's fine. Let's say she wins. Who knows? She'll be like another Willow Pill.
Yeah.
But this Darlene, even if she goes home next week, right? The best thing they can do to her is have her go home 5th place, right? Where there's a lot of good people who went home 5th in this show. I think she has a bang up career after this. I think she has a crazy career because of how genuinely likable and almost like a Trixie. Almost like a Trixie. What I mean is, I'm not a big Trixie fan, but she's a huge star. I can't deny that. But that this Trixie, she is not good at the competition. Like, and everyone can say, "Oh, she wants." Go fuck yourself, right? We know what happened in season 3. We were all there, right? She's not good at this competition, right? But she is a drag. She's a good drag queen.
Yeah,
and I think that'll be Darlene. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No. I think we've covered off Darlene. That really.
All right, Nene Coco
summed it up. Yeah, so you know what? Maybe she was a bit too harsh. Like it was at this point where I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, maybe I see what they're all talking about," because it was too intense.
Well, I said this in the big takeaway. Everyone in the room knows that she's conventionally handsome as a boy, and everyone knows she's smart and talented. Blah 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 blah. And if you're gonna be that person, you have to go in and be self-effacing, or you just come off like a huge asshole. And that's why I was saying that Kenya would have done better with her jokes, because Kenya does have that self-effacing humor. You know? Yeah, you have to be self-effacing if you're going to do those kinds of mean jokes. It would be as if like Robert just went up and just started fucking like just saying horrible things about people. People would be like, this guy's a fucking asshole. The problem is, I don't think Robert or Nene have the capability to be self-effacing. I just think they completely lack that capability.
Okay.
I don't mean because they're untalented. I just think because it's a literal blind spot. Like, for instance, I was talking to somebody who's up for a job, right? And he's like, "Oh, this job, they want me to do this something senior executive report. It sounded so hard, right? And I was thinking, I wouldn't even know how to and when I say I wouldn't even know how to do that, like, it's like trying to imagine the fourth dimension. Like, I don't, it's just a blind spot that I can't even, and I mean literal blind spot. You know, they say, people
like
say,
trying to do 3D chess.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, it's like trying to imagine what's like the grasp the concept of how big outer space is, right? Like something. So
yes.
I don't know what this person was talking about when they told me this. I could never, and I can do a lot of things. Right? That right now, I could tell you right now, I'm an entrepreneur in the sense that I can start a business. I can't you take a business and you make it big. I can't do that. I don't even know how you would do that. Right?
Okay.
That's the same thing with Robert and Nene Coco.
Poor Robert.
For self-deprecating humor. I'm going to tell you right now, this Robert, he's going to hear this. And Robert is a naturally competitive person. So he's going to be like, I'm going to go on this Rulaska Thoughts and I'm going to be self-deprecating and it's not going to work. He's going to be in there and he's like, the trouble with me being so smart is I can't really communicate with people. The problem with being so handsome is everybody just wants me for my body. They don't want to get to know me. And you're like...
I think you're the Nene Coco.
I remember when I was in college, this college that I went to a college called UC Irvine. And I love how I have to go like 2 minutes ago. I went to this college called UC Irvine, right?
Uh-huh.
And what happened is everyone lived in all the cool kids who knew what they were doing. You lived in the dorms your freshman year, you made friends. But then after that, we were close enough to Newport Beach, California. And I don't think these circumstances now with Airbnb exist anymore. But it was at the time that during the off season from September to like June, conveniently when school's in session, you could live in this beachfront property for pennies because the people who owned them were like, yeah, we make our money in the summer. Like I said, I think those days are done because of Airbnb, but in the ancient days is what the case is. So the rest of my college career, I lived on beachfront property in Newport Beach, California. Okay.
Wow. Must be nice.
Yeah. But I would be with 3 other roommates and it was like $200 a month in rent or something like that. Right? So I remember I went to a party at USC, which is in South Central Los Angeles, not the best neighborhood. And we were all talking. And there was a group of us. And one person was like, yeah, my life sucks. I can't get my homework done because people are doing drugs in my apartment building and the cops come and they raid the place and whatever. And another person's like, oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Like where I live, the Mexican people are just having like parties all night. I can't sleep. And then they looked at me and I was like, sometimes the ocean waves crash too loud and they wake me up. Right? And they would just look at me like I was the biggest fucking asshole. Right? That's what it's going to be like on Monday when Robert tries to be self-deprecating.
Well, let's see. Let's give him a chance.
Yeah, we're going to find
Kenya
out.
Michaels. Kenya Pleaser. What do you think of her?
Awful. What's so funny about that?
I don't know, but that was funny. Yeah. I feel like she just did a lot of talking without actually saying anything. And so for you to just say one word to sum it up just was perfect.
Mikey Meeks. I like you hosting the show. You should host the show next week.
I know. I was just trying to move us along there.
I'm the one that has to go.
I sense that. So I was trying to help you out. Okay. Mikey, I actually liked it. I liked the head in the hands punchline thing she did. And other than that, I got nothing huge to say. But I thought she was good.
Was she the one that Asuko would say you were doing that Kristen Wiig thing?
I think they said that. Oh, yeah, maybe her or Darlene.
It is a Kristen Wiig bit. Now that you said it and you did it, it was when Kristen Wiig would do the grumpy aunt. She had this grumpy aunt who would do a desk bit during news.
Yeah. It was also reminding me of a Fred Armisen bit where he's like, "Hi, Dios mío," or something like that.
You know what? They would both do it too during they had this like really funny bit they would do together as a desk bit where one of them would be singing that song. Yes.
Yeah.
And they would kind of do that when they'd be singing. It's from that era of SNL, which we know Mikey's an SNL fan.
Do we ever? But yeah, it worked though.
It worked.
I liked it.
It worked. You have to do what works, you know? All right. Okay. And then the runway. Any big thoughts on the runway?
I really liked the category. I thought Darlene's was fun. I thought her and Nene made the best use of the fan. And then Juicy, that was just a fitted sheet. Like, usually her looks are so good, and I feel like she's like the best of every week. But this was a miss for me because I was like, that doesn't look like a parachute. It looks like a fitted sheet.
All right, very good. On the main stage, Darlene Mitchell is named the winner of the challenge, while Kenya Pleaser and Juicy Love Dion were placed in the bottom two, forcing them to face off in a lip-sync battle for their lives. The song, Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler. In the end, Juicy lived to see another day, while Kenya Pleaser was asked to sashay away. Nathan, did the right queen win the challenge? Yeah, let's stop there. Did the right queen win the challenge?
It's weird because I'm going to say no, but also I'm happy she did. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like Jane and Mikey did a better job, but also I had a lot of fun with her. So like, I don't know.
All right. Were the right two queens in the bottom?
Yes.
And did the right queen get the chop?
Yes. I just feel like Kenya's mouth when she's lip syncing just doesn't work properly. And for some reason, she's always lip syncing the backing vocals and the main track. Like, she never just
I wrote that. I'm like, why is she mouthing the backing vocals?
I don't know. Whereas then Juicy, like, yeah, she didn't do flips and things, but she just commanded the stage, like, with that fitted sheet. I thought she looked great. And it was a good lip sync.
This was a big loss for Kenya. A big loss. And I'm going to tell you why. Because she's fat. No, it's a big loss for Kenya because weeks ago, I got into it with Lauri when I said there are songs for young people that young people are just going to have an advantage, in those songs.
Oh, yes.
And
that was back when you really cared about ageism and stuff. You haven't mentioned that in a few weeks.
Because they got rid of all the old people because of ageism. Because they're not left. They're gone. Boom, boom, boom. Boo, boo, boo. They just got rid of the old people. Right? It's just like... So, but I said that there are songs that benefit or that favor younger queens. But the flip side is there are songs that favor older queens, more mature queens, more serious queens who could do it. A good example that I think I used at the end of the time was Latrice Royale with Natural Woman. Favored. This song favored a serious approach. You could have done a fierce park and bark on this song and won. No, I'm not going to take anything away from Juicy. Juicy did crush this lip sync, right? But she did some stunts, a minimal amount of stunts, but she did some stunts. But you could have won this lip sync with 0 stunts. You could have let the wind do all the work and you just do faceography or whatever they call it, right?
Sure.
Where you live this song and stood there, let the wind do the work, let your face do the work, do no stunts. And you could have won this entire lip sync. And this is one that favored older people. And Kenya blew it. Kenya could have had a Latrice moment. It would have been tough because I will say Juicy fucking ate her. Juicy didn't win by default. Juicy did a great lip sync. But this is the one time where Juicy could have been beat. And Kenya dropped the ball.
But I feel like they're the same age, aren't they?
It has nothing to do exactly with age. It has to do what I'm putting Kenya in the old category because she's fat.
Okay, understood.
So in other words, she's not as lithe, and she could have brought. In other words, I'll rephrase. Juicy and Kenya were at equal level at the beginning of this lip sync. So it wasn't like this was a, a dance song that was going to obviously benefit Juicy. This is one where they were on equal footing. And harkening back to that thing I said before, when I said that, that thing that Robert said, that RuPaul says, this is your last chance to impress me and save yourself from elimination. All things being true, Juicy was in the hole. Because they loved Kenya's charisma. She just couldn't sell the joke. Juicy was in the motherfucking hole. This was Kenya's lip sync to lose, and she lost it.
Yes, and because she also had the momentum from last week being in the top, whereas Juicy's been in the bottom for a while.
Yes, and Juicy did a really poor job in the lip sync. And they were on equal, they had the same number of lip syncs. The song favorite, they were on equal footing with the song. Juicy ate shit during the challenge and more shit than Kenya did. It was Kenya could have taken her out, and she didn't.
Well, the one difference, I think, is Kenya's outfit didn't lend itself to the fan, whereas Juicy's did. Kenya's outfit already wasn't as great.
I would have taken those chi-chis out and put them in the fan and let the fan jiggle those chi-chis. That would have been hilarious. Any other thoughts?
No, you got to go.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 18. So for Nathan Patrick Brown and myself.
Well, Joe, the question still remains. Is the bus still running?
This is a Monday.com ad. The same Monday.com helping people worldwide getting work done faster and better. The same Monday.com designed for every team and every industry. The same Monday.com with built-in AI, scaling your work from day one. The same Monday.com that your team will actually love using. The same Monday.com with an easy and intuitive setup. Go to Monday.com and try it for free. Yes, the same Monday.com.